Welcome back to Basics of Minecraft, and today I thought I would show you the basics of redstone, because the best way to make your own redstone contraptions is not to know smaller contraptions that you can implement into bigger ones. It's actually to know the little things in redstone and everything you're able to do, and how everything works. So because if you didn't know, for example, if you didn't know how redstone, if you don't know how redstone works, you couldn't make a big contraption like this, um, you know, the slot machine that I made in my last video. Probably couldn't make something like that if you didn't know how to use redstone at all. So, the first thing I want to show you is just the basic sort of redstone. This is my little list here. So redstone. This is a redstone current. As you turn the current on, or as you power the current, redstone dust, the current will last up to 15 blocks, and it won't go any higher than that. It's not the minimum that it'll go, depending on what kind of power source you're using, but it is the maximum. And you can connect redstone in various ways. Actually, it's not very various, because you can only do it 4 directions. You can't go up or down unless you were to put a block here, and if you put it up one, it'll follow it up the block. So that's actually just about it for redstone. Not too complicated. So one more thing for redstone, or actually here's just another example for how it only lasts up to 15 currents. So yeah, and then now we're gonna move on to diodes, or repeaters, as some may call them. They're called redstone repeaters, but a few people may call them diodes, because that's in circuitry, like real life circuitry, there's something called a diode that's very similar to a repeater. So there's two redstone currents here, and they're both almost identical, except one has repeaters and one does not. Now this current right here, as you can see, it only goes up to 15. Like we learned over there, the max redstone pulse can go is 15 blocks. So with this one, it goes all the way across. The reason for that is because there are repeaters here. Repeaters, there are 3 main uses for them. The first one, which is right here, which is extending a current. The second one is delay. So I did not have something built here, so I'll just go ahead and build something. Because a redstone current, or from one redstone going to another, is instant. As you'll see, this current will take much more time than this one, because this has delay. Of course it rains because I'm recording. Because I am recording. Well, anyways, so as you can see, this has delay on it, but this one does not. Now, this is okay. So a redstone repeater. This is 1 tick. This is 1 tick delay. This is a 2 tick delay. This is a 3 tick delay, and this is a 4 tick delay. And this is also a 4 tick delay. So, 1 tick is equal to 1/10 of a second. So if you were to do, let's see, so this would be 2 tick delay, and so 4, 8, 10. So this would be right here. This would be 1 second, and so this is a way that a lot of people make clocks that are a second. Every second this will turn on. 1, 2, 3, and so on. So yeah. So that's basically it for repeaters, except for there's one more thing they're used for, which is diodes. Diode. One more main thing, and A repeater can only send a current one way, and that's the way it's facing, which is this is forward, this is backwards. And so it cannot send a current through both ways, it can only send a current through one way. And that's the third thing it's used for, third main thing. And next we have power sources. Now there are various power sources. The first is the redstone torch, which you're probably very familiar with. So redstone torches have they have the same properties as a normal torch, based on like how you can place it, if you can place it on walls and floors, and they can be powered off with if you power this block, a block that a redstone torch is attached to, and if you don't know how to do that, I will get into that later. So as you can see, it turned off, and now it's turned back on. So yeah. Now the next one I've already been using, which is a lever. A lever is basically the same as a redstone torch, except you can toggle it on and off. The third power source is the button, or buttons, as you might say, because so there's two different kinds of buttons, two different variations. One is the stone button, which is just a button and it lasts for a short amount of time. It just turns on and off the current automatically, and so that's basically what the button does, except there's also the wooden button, and the wooden button can be turned on by projectiles. As you can see, I hit it with an arrow and now it's turned on. Now when I retrieve that arrow, it no longer is turned on because I retrieved it. So the third one is pressure plates, or the first two kinds of pressure plates actually, which basically the same as the button, except instead of having a short amount of time that the current goes on, it's depending on if you're standing on it or not. And then this one, the wooden pressure plates can respond to items. So let's just, as you can see, they respond to items, and also they respond to arrows, and these do not. Just a sample. Okay, so this is the redstone block. It basically is a redstone torch, but it cannot be toggled on and off. So, like I said earlier, the redstone torch can be turned on and off if the block it's on is powered. But this one, because it is its own block, it cannot be turned on and off. And a lever cannot even be placed on it anyway. So just can't be on the side. But anyways, that does not affect anything. So yeah. Now these are weighted pressure plates, which is the second variation, or the third and fourth variation, I guess you could say, of pressure plates, which they detect how many items are on them. So for instance, if there were multiple people standing on this pressure plate that I'm standing on right now, then it would give out a farther pulse. And this is one of the power sources that give off a pulse depending on a certain variable, which is how much items is on it. And so for these pressure plates, the iron is heavier than the gold, supposedly. Well, not actually, but supposedly it would be, based on how these work, because these blocks, as you put more on, it will create a farther pulse, and so it's creating a farther pulse right now. As you can see, the pulse is really far, and you might see it get shortened back to 1, and the reason for that is because I think that's a glitch that they're probably going to fix, but because when the items are like this, it farthers the pulse, but then when they become one stack, it only counts it as one item. So for now, you'd probably want to use items that aren't stackable, like a bow, so or sword or armor or something. And so iron pressure plates are the same thing as gold, except that they require more items to give out a farther pulse. And so this is a light detector, light sensor, and this is one of the other power sources that has a variable has a different pulse depending on a certain variable, and the variable for this one is how much light is given to the light detector. So for instance, if it's nighttime, so I set it to nighttime, and now as you can see, it's not giving off a pulse. And now if I were to set it to 1000, it would give off a little bit of a pulse. And if I set it back to 12,000, or wait, no, sorry, not 12,000. If I were to set it back to 6,000, then the sun would be at the top and it would give off a full pulse, 15. And this is the final one, the last current, and this one is mostly used for traps. It's a tripwire, which it doesn't actually slow you down or make you trip or anything when you step over it, but when you do step over it, it does activate these two blocks that the tripwire hooks are attached to. And so as you can see, as I step on here, it will power the redstone over there. And this one does not have a different pulses varying on anything. And so that's it for that unit. And the next one we're going to do is doorways and traps. Now, these are your basic doors that you've probably used before. You've probably used the wooden door before, which is the exact same as the iron door, except for the iron door you can only open the iron door with redstone power. So, and also the iron door cannot be broken down by zombies. This is the trap door, the same as the wooden door, except it's on the floor instead of like a door on the side, and you can open it. There is no iron version of this, but personally I think there should be. And these are pistons, which this one is a normal piston, this one is a sticky piston. Sticky pistons can carry blocks, but normal pistons cannot. They can push blocks, normal pistons can, but they can't pull blocks back. So this is a sticky piston. It's basically just a piston with a slime ball added to it on a crafting table. And this is a gate, which is like another kind of door, except it cannot be broken by zombies, but it also can be opened by hand. So yeah. And now we're going to go to powered blocks, which you don't need to use lamps, redstone lamp. Oh, whoops. But you don't need to use redstone lamps. Might as well get rid of that. You don't need to use redstone lamps, but you can. And the reason you can is the reason you don't have to is because, there are many types of blocks that you can power on and off, but I'm using redstone lamps because they're the easiest to show that when it's powered and not powered, because they turn on when they're powered and off when they're not. So right, as you can see, these are powered lamps, and as I put a redstone current through them, they turn on, and that means they become a powered block. Now, with the powered block, they cannot transfer redstone. At least the way we're powering it, it can't. And just like a redstone block, a powered block it can turn on any block around it, but not blocks around the blocks that are around it. That kind of sounded confusing. So, yeah, I use just kind of a representation of that. And if redstone is on top of a powered block, or on top of a block, it will power it. But say, for example, if it's on the side of a block, it will not power it. So, yeah. And as you saw earlier, redstone or blocks that are powered can turn off any torches that are attached to them. And so this is really good for inverter signals. So when this lever is off, then it will turn the signal on, and when this lever is on, it'll turn the signal off. So this is just to show that you cannot make currents go through the block unless you were to have a direct or a fresh current go through. And the only way to do that is to put the lever or whatever power source you're using straight on the block, or to use a repeater because the repeater refreshes the current. So as you can see, current goes through there, and the current goes through there. And then this torch will be powered off if I were to, yeah, so. And then these are just some blocks that cannot be powered through no matter what you use. They cannot be powered at all, actually. Darn rain. Sorry about that. It's just rain being all rainy and stupid. So this glowstone block can be, it cannot be powered. Neither can any type of glass or stained glass. Slabs cannot be powered. Stairways, ice cannot be powered, but for some reason, packed ice can be powered. So, wither skulls, or just skulls of any kind, heads, signs, flower pots, basically anything, any block that's either transparent, has a transparent texture on it, without any texture packs, or cannot, or does not have anything, or does not have is not a full block, cannot be powered. So next we're going to move on to the dispensers and droppers. And I don't know why that's there. Dispensers and droppers. And so the difference between a dropper and a dispenser, and if you can't see what the dropper, this is a dropper right here, but if you can't see what it looks like, the dropper looks like this. So basically the difference between a dispenser and a dropper is, if I were to stand up here, the dropper would drop the diamond chest plate and give it to me, and the dispenser would actually put the diamond chest plate on for me. And so basically dispensers have more of an action, and that they usually do with blocks, and droppers just drop the block and give it to you. So this has flint and steel. The bottom one, the dropper will give the flint and steel to me. The dispenser will dispense fire using the flint and steel. Now this one is with bone meal. Yeah, this one uses bone meal, and so I'll go ahead and get a potato. And so as you can see, the dropper will give me bone meal, and the dispenser will actually dispense bone meal into the crop. So and here are a few more examples. arrows. They shoot arrows, also fire charges. But these give me the dispensers shoot arrows and fire charges. Droppers give me the arrows and fire charges. And so this one is with TNT. It actually sets off TNT also. So yeah, and then droppers. This only works with droppers, but it's actually pretty cool. If you power a dropper that is facing a container, which is any object with slots in it that you can put items in, not counting a music disc or a jukes box for music that you put music discs in, because you can actually go inside and put in new music discs and take them out with a GUI. So that those don't count as containers. But if a dropper is facing a container, then this dropper can actually shoot items up into that container, and it's not make the sound that's dispensing or dropping items, but as you can see, more and more items are getting put into it. And so yeah, now we're going to move on to our last section, which is comparators and hoppers, which I grouped these together because they kind of work together with each other. A hopper is a very simple device. It doesn't have much to do with redstone, except that you can prevent things from dropping into it or dispensing out of it, or like going out of it with a redstone current, or with powering it. So how it works is you just drop an item in and it will dispense the item into whatever it's facing. And so they can be connected because they can be they can put an item into any container as long as that container will accept the item. And since hoppers themselves count as containers, you can drop items into a hopper. I get those words mixed up so much, and they will go into a second. They will go into other hoppers and into the last kind of container. So droppers and dispensers are also containers, and so as you can see, I can go ahead and put this in, and it'll appear in the dispensers and droppers. But I can, if I were to power this, the item would not be accepted into the hopper because it's powered, and if I were to put an item in the hopper while it's powered, the item would not be put into the container that's facing, and if I took the power out, it would be. So that's it for hoppers. And this is now for comparators. We're moving on to comparators, which is a comparator will what it does, or what one of its uses is detecting if an item is in a container. And if you place one item in a container, if it detects one item in a container, then it will dispense, or it will give out one redstone signal, or one block worth of redstone signal. And if there's, I think, 23 items in it, which you think is a bit much, it would give out a signal of 2. And so it should be giving out a signal of 2, but it's not for some reason. Okay, well, I don't know what's wrong with that, but anyways, that's one of the uses for comparators. And the second and third uses are the main use that, they're one of the big reasons that comparators are very helpful along with this. But anyways, so as you can see, this current is turned on, And when I put a let's call this current right here input A, and let's call this current output A, or output, because this is where the redstone current comes out. And then these two sides are going to be called input B. Now, if you put a current into input A and one into input B, if the current that's inside input B is stronger than the one inside input A, then it will turn off the current. It will turn off the output. And if there's, let's put it farther. If it's the same current, then it won't do anything. It also won't do anything if it's farther. So like that. And so, yeah. And then the second thing is pretty similar, but instead of turning it off, if it's stronger, then if this current is stronger than that one, it will turn off, yes. But if this current is stronger than this one, it'll subtract this current from this current. So I have a current that's pretty strong here, and this current, if I were to put a current this much of 3 into that, it'll still keep one current on. If I were to put a current in that's not as strong, one less strong, then it'll have 2. And then 3, or actually, yeah, and then 3, and then so on. So that's basically it for all the basics of redstone, and now that you know a lot more about redstone than you probably did, I would start with something small. If you want to build something or create something on your own, I would start with something very simple, not complicated at all, and then just slowly, very slowly work your way up to things like, say, for example, a slot machine, or something like that, yeah. Or something more complicated like, yeah. Just something that's more complicated. So, I hope you learned something in this tutorial. If you did, then leave a like. If you liked it enough, then subscribe. Leave a comment. Feedback is always appreciated, unless it's bad. Unless it's like insulting me in a non-helpful way, because then I don't really like it. But other than that, I would love feedback. Tell me what to do next, or if you need help with anything. And that's about it. Thanks for watching. Probably said that twice, once again. And see ya.